Seeing a beautiful black woman with a white man will almost certainly trigger a white woman's main character syndrome every time.
Every white woman that is gonna watch this into a coma, because the way she is so blunt on airing out white people business and how much they jealous black women, I am touched.
If you're a white woman that follows me right now, you better not be getting that thumb ready to scroll, please. Because that was embarrassing what happened on that other video. Don't do that. Stay and listen. Like you would want a man to stay and listen when I talk shit about men. Be the change you want to see in the world, okay? Now, you may have heard me talk about main character syndrome in men, which is the idea that they are the main character and that everybody else around them fits into that narrative somehow, either as the sidekick, either as the villain, the mentor, etc. And when you are raised in a hierarchy, especially, again, a hierarchy that involves race as explicitly as the American hierarchy involves it, it's turtles all the way down. It's the same thing all the way down. While white men definitely do have the most amount and like the most egregious case of main character syndrome, everybody who participates in the American hierarchy, in the American caste system, all of these behaviors and actions, like they trickle all the way down. Yes, white men have like this very intense main character syndrome, but white women have also been given a very specific narrative about their place in that situation. And so they also have main character syndrome. That's where when a white man marries a black woman, it triggers white women's narrative. It triggers the narrative that something was taken from them because their whole life they grew up watching white Disney princesses end up with a white Disney prince. So that's how it goes. That's how you play the game, right? You take this doll and they go together, and that's how you play the game. What's triggered is that you are not supposed to be part of that narrative in any way as a black woman. You are not supposed to reap the benefits of being this close to the top of the hierarchy, right? It's almost like they see it in their eyes as like you've skipped a few steps on the ladder and you've ended up like, you know, in a place that they could have gotten. It's kind of like that problem that white people have with affirmative action, right? It's like, well, what if there was a white person that was qualified to take that spot? And you just took it from them, like, don't you feel bad? And this is why affirmative action is needed, because people think like that. Like you just told on yourself very loudly. But that's what it is. They are also confused because a white man isn't supposed to want a black woman. Like a white man is also supposed to be trained to want a white woman, to want the aesthetic, right, of a white woman. And just for everybody wondering how I know these things, it's education. Yes, some of it is observation, but it's reading books by black educators, but especially black women. I do Audible a lot. Like I actually have read a lot more than this, but I do a lot of Audible. So I'll just screenshot some recommendations for any other white people wanting to get educated. You can know these things in your heart. You can know things are wrong in your heart, but to actually be able to educate others or like put words to these things that actually like make sense, you have to listen to black women, especially because they have all the nuance. Okay, all the nuance is there. This is from Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad. And she says, black women around the world experience this white gaze lens of being seen as angry, strong, aggressive, and wild, as well as being believed to be lesser in intelligence and beauty than other women. They are seen as either the aggressive adversary, the sassy sidekick, or the deferent devotee to white women. So of course a white woman is triggered and confused when you are chosen by a white man who was supposed to be the prince to her princess in her fairy tale, right? Like it immediately makes sense. She's like, how can you like this aggressive and wild, angry and strong woman when I was taught my whole life that to get a man, I have to be all the opposite of these things? Obviously, the black woman can be whatever she is. Like, she's not obviously automatically angry or wild or any of these things. You don't know that. But in your mind as a white woman, that's what you assume because these stereotypes have been so readily fed to you. And not only that, but you have been taught to be the opposite of these stereotypes. So to a white man, it should have been a no-brainer based on the stereotypes. And at the end of the day, what's upsetting, again, is that they have worked really hard for this certain thing that was pretty much supposed to be all but guaranteed to be theirs. And here comes somebody basically cutting in line. You are never supposed to surpass them on the ladder up to the top because white women are supposed to get the opportunity first. Not only that, but a white man is never supposed to pick a black woman. You know, that's why so many white women are such pick-me's because they were literally taught that men will pick you if you do certain things. And they actually put stock into that and grew up training themselves to do these things, to be unproblematic, to be very easygoing, keep sweet, pray and obey, whatever, right? Now they're surprised because their expectations have been subverted, right? It's that because whiteness comes from a lack mentality, It's that liking anything about a black woman is automatically an insult to a white woman. A crazy way to think, obviously, but nevertheless, it happens. And the emulation stems from kind of the exact same place of white women have always been told that they are the beauty standard. It was like Marilyn Monroe, like if the sex symbol was always, always, always a white woman. But once the capitalists figured out they could exploit black women for that too, they were like, oh great, we'll just do that. Nobody thought about how that would affect the white women who have always been told that them being the highest standard of beauty is safe. It's safe and sound. Like no black woman will ever be considered as beautiful as like a mediocre looking white woman. Those days were past, right? All of a sudden. And all of a sudden they started being like, oh wait, there's something I'm missing out on. And it's this whole like, that should have been me. That should have been me and not you. Basically that idea, right? And there's also what's hard coded into capitalism, which is basically you either compete or you get left behind. So that's why all the Kardashian sisters went and got everything done like the way that they did. Because black women can be sex symbols now too. And white women raced, right? So they said, oh, so if these are the features that men want, then I will give them that. Me, a white woman. That's basically where I think that comes from. This part is for the white women that are, I trust, better still be here. Why do you need to look at anti-blackness against black women? It is my belief that the rising and empowerment of black women is one of the biggest threats to white supremacy. Knowing this, white supremacy works particularly hard to stifle, undermine, marginalize, demonize, and harm black women. All anti-blackness, regardless of who it is directed at, paints black people as inferior in all ways, except the ways that can be used by non-black people for non-black gain. When it comes to black women, this treatment is compounded by the added marginalization faced under sexism. From negative stereotypes that trap black women in a one-dimensional imagination to the way that black women's bodies have been treated less like the bodies of human beings and more like the bodies of animals. Anti-blackness against black women is killing black women, both physically and psychologically. So if you call yourself a feminist, you want to call yourself a feminist, you want to rah-rah under my videos where I talk shit about men, but you don't want to look at this, you don't want to look at anti-blackness against black women, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're no better than Susan B. Anthony and her little minions, that when they were given their rights, they took them and ran with them. And they left the black women that worked with, that protested with, that marched with, did everything with. These white women left them in the dust to fend for themselves. They took their rights and they ran. And I'll be damned if anybody following me thinks it's going to be like that. It's not going to be like that, if I can help it. That's embarrassing. That's a shameful moment in American history and in American women's history especially. How you are in relationships with and to black women speaks volumes about where you are in your anti-racism journey. Do you feel like you cannot relate to black women? Do you covet black women's physical attributes yet secretly feel disdain for them as human beings? Do you assume black women are less educated, less affluent, and less capable than you? These are just some signs that you harbor anti-blackness against black women. This anti-blackness needs to be excavated, confronted, and owned in order for you to practice anti-racism. So let's get to work. It's something that we all have to continuously practice and reflect on, myself included. I may be from Ukraine, but America will definitely do a number on you. Like I said, it really forces you into this hierarchy, whether you want to be part of it or not. You cannot just go with the flow. You have to actively fight back against it. That's what people mean when they say, like, you need to educate yourself. They don't mean you're a horrible racist and you need to blah, blah, blah. What people mean when they say you need to get educated is you need to start swimming upstream. You need to stop going with the flow and you need to use your muscles to head upstream, because upstream is the only way to solve all of these problems. You need to go as far upstream as you can. So if you want to abolish one system of power, you have to go upstream and abolish them all. And the only way to do that is to get educated, because otherwise this world literally tells you, this country especially, but this world tells you in so many ways that it's okay to be racist. It excuses so much racist behavior that people don't even know they're doing it. And then when they're confronted with it, they feel ashamed and they freak out. Don't feel ashamed. Feel empowered. Feel empowered that you can be educated and that you can stop doing this shit. Okay? Let's get to work. Godspeed. Mwah.
So the reality is white women be watching black women with white men with one side eye. Most especially when black women are given a good life by white men, white women be looking at black women with a side eye like we don't deserve it, because prosperity, richness only has a white face and not a black face. Yo, when I saw this video, it clearly gave me a different picture on how I should see white women. Some white women, of course, not all. We cannot say that all white people or all white women, they get jealous when they see a black woman with a white man. Most especially when they are being given a good life. I will speak from a Ugandan point of view, most especially when I lived in South Africa. It's where I saw so many interracial couples, right? Because like on this end of East Africa, it's not really so much. And of course, you barely see like rich white people in East Africa or in Uganda to say that are marrying black women. Majority of the times, yes, Uganda people we tend to attract dusty white people that are broke, and then they know their little dollars or pounds, they're going to entice black women in East Africa. In East Africa, I stress, because I have found black girls that go on with the white men to be the cheapest ones that I've seen. But in South Africa, I have seen top notch. I have seen white men building houses for black girls in South Africa. I've seen black girls driving the biggest cars. Hey, and you're like, hey, sissy, darling, you are being given the life. Yo. But the reality is, I never really took it into consideration to be like, what do white women think when they see that their men are giving black girls the lifestyle that they think they don't deserve? Because I feel like still in 2024, we still have white people that see blackness as in the past. Yeah, when they see blackness, they're like, you must be poor, you must be ugly, nappy hair, which is not taken care of. Like, you must be a slave. You're supposed to be in the house, like cleaning, go in the garden, do something. But don't be on my level, because whiteness is the color of success. For the white women that are watching this, please tell me in the comment section, does it rub you in a wrong way? Or you okay with it? I mean, we're changing. The times have changed. Hello. If you are still going to be a regular sister in 2024, I don't understand you. I feel like she exposed her entire clan. Like, the entire whiteness must be disappointed in her right now. Guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. Yo, I need to start observing white women. Yo, yeah. I must look for a white friend. Maybe we'll walk around holding hands so that, just for me to observe white women behavior. Guys, I love you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.